Hey YouTube, welcome back to another video. This one is about a couple equipment things that I literally got yesterday and some upcoming changes. First of all, yes, there's a new horn, we'll talk about it in a second. My tenor project will be done at some point in the next 5 years. I promise that much. The tech who's building it is actually, he was on a trip to ITF, and so he's been around the country and not working on my horn, which is fine. He needs to do stuff. I'm not in control of his life. And I don't need the horn that badly. I am using one right now, so it's not that big of a deal. I will get it someday. Now, new stuff. Oh yeah, the horn that I just played. This is a Bach 50B2, and I know what the viewers are saying. They're saying, Aiden, you've owned 5 of those. It's totally sensible for you to get another one. And I'd say, wrong. Now I've owned 5 of them, and yes, it is totally sensible. You're correct. All the other ones, though, have been corporation models. I've owned a really kind of beat-up looking one. That was my first. No, that was my second one. Oh, my God, I can't even remember now. I owned one that was open-wrapped with a yellow bell. Really cool horn. That played really well. I couldn't afford it at the time, so I had to give it back. I owned a really kind of mangy-looking one with stuck everything that sounded really cool, but it was just kind of hard to play. It had split triggers. I ended up trading that for Shire's parts. Led me onto my journey of getting good trombones, so that was a worthy buy. I owned a one with the D slide and unsplit triggers just like this. That was a corporation model, and it was pretty good. I just had no use for it at the time, and I didn't have the money to like modify it, so I sold it. And then I owned a Bach 50B2 that had the open wrap D slide, split triggers. That was really good. That's the one I won my audition on for Disneyland Band. So that horn served me very well as well. I used it for a couple things. It was good, but like just not as good as my other horn. So whoop, that left as well. This one is not a corporation model, even though it's just barely not corporation. Serial number reads as in 1981, which is just 1 or 2 years outside the corporation range. So it's not really going to be that different, is it? It's made by the same people in the same place. It's just not going to be that different. It looks just like a corporation. In all the pictures, I was like, is this not a corporation horn? It's got the same color lacquer. It's got, not the same stamp, obviously, because it's not a corporation. But everything about it looks like those earlier instruments. And basically it is. Mainly, though, it's very clean. It's in very good shape. I mean, the bell is in just about as good of shape as any 50 bell I've ever gotten, which is not a high bar, but it is in very good shape. This stuff all works. I haven't oiled anything or greased anything. All the slides move. The one big bummer is that this brace here has disappeared, and this one is popped. You'll notice when I played that little song, I didn't play any C's with the valve. And that's because the whole thing buzzes like crazy when I play those C's. Now, why do I not care about that? Well, that's a pretty easy question to answer. I'm not going to play it like this ever. Right now is probably about half of the time that I'll ever spend on this instrument actually playing it in this configuration. I don't need a dependent E-flat tuning non-split trigger bass in my life. What I do need, though, is a Bach with CR valves on it. Yes, I've had these for a while. They were in a previous video a while back. Those are going to make their way onto this, with like a normal open wrap. I have the levers, I have everything. The valves are going to be swedged, which means to bring the bearings back into spec so that the valves don't have any play, and they seal well and they play well. And it's going to be an awesome instrument. I really miss my Shire's 50B3 OG. That was the open wrap gold bell that I put Shire's rotors on. That horn was really special. And I probably shouldn't have sold it. And by probably, I mean I shouldn't have sold it, because then I wouldn't have to buy stuff like this. That horn had such a cool sound. I think I could play it really well now. And the current owner of it is like getting to finals of competitions and doing all this cool stuff on it. I'm just like, why did I sell that again? That was really dumb. And so I'm trying to get back to that instrument via a slightly different route. This is obviously a much older bell. That was a 90s horn. This is 80s. It's yellow. I'm going to have Canstol CR valves instead of those Shire's rotors. It's going to be different, but I'm very excited for how it's going to turn out. It also came with a slide. Let's check that out. You'll notice there's a slide on here. That's a different one. We'll talk about it in a moment. It did come with a slide, and it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. And then you get to the problem area. Something happened here. One, somebody hit something pretty freaking hard with the end of this slide and totally bashed in the crook. And it may have been the same incident, but spit valve is also gone. I have part of the assembly. I have the actual spit valve arm, but I don't have the threaded rod that goes through. And it was taped over with tape that has become one with the crook. So I have to remove that somehow, I guess. And also the slide is awful. Oh man, there's a lot of stuff in here. I don't even want to clean it because I have a feeling it might ruin my cleaning stuff. And so I just don't even want to clean it. I will clean it later. In any case, slide is inoperable at the moment. I did play it when I picked it up, and it actually sounded really good, even with this giant bash in the end. But I don't need the slide because I got this slide. This is an Edwards DBBN, which is dual bore nickel. It's got the nickel over sleeves, which not all Edwards slides do have, and a nickel crook, also not a standard option. Originally, Edwards in the 90s did not come with slides. Edwards did not make slides. You had to use your Bach slide on a bell section they would build for you. And later, they started making slides. They started making dual bore slides, which is kind of a new fancy thing at the time. And the original slides are like my DBB, which is dual bore, all yellow, no over sleeves, which is kind of a weird spec. I can't really think of like a predecessor instrument that would come like that. Bach slides, of course, have unequal length over sleeves. The bottom one is longer. There we go. Bottom one's usually longer. The top one is short. They're nickel, and they have a yellow crook. So this is kind of also not that. It's got equal length nickel over sleeves and a nickel crook. So the most common Edwards slides are not like Bach slides. This is very similar to my Shire's B62/78. No, I think it's just B62/78, which is also nickel over sleeves, yellow tubes, nickel crook, but that has unequal length over sleeves and also a nickel hand brace grip, whatever you call it. In any case, cool slide. I got this for pretty cheap on eBay. I don't see cool parts like that on eBay very often, especially for kind of like a cheap price. So I just nabbed it. I like it. I don't love it. Right now I have 3 dual bore slides for bass trombone. I own 0 single bore slides that fit my Bach bass section. So don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it, but I just can't help myself buying things. So there we go. Got a new 50B2 that is not going to stay 50B2 for very long. Like I might literally play this for like another hour total until this all gets hacked off and it gets new valves. It's going to be super cool. Very excited for that. And other 50s coming in the future because, of course, I have to have more. That's it. I'll see y'all in another video. Bye-bye.